Well, hello everybody. It's Dr. Carmen Bryant, and this is Car Chronicles. How are you guys doing? Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. Thank you so much for being patient with me. You guys ready? Here we go. I encourage everybody to come on Tuesdays at 7:45 Pacific Standard Time and 9:45 Central Standard Time and 10:45 Eastern Time to Apostle Helen Sadler's Your Destiny Helper on Clubhouse. There are a lot of nuggets that are being dropped by a panel of professional women, professional people that come up and they talk about, especially narcissist abuse and recovering and recovery. And this past Tuesday, we had a phenomenal discussion. It's an awesome discussion. The beauty behind it is that as a therapist in a clinical position where I accept insurances, and the thing is that being in a clinical position, in a position as a therapist, you can't go in and be open about your belief system, unless it's asked, unless the client asks or asks you questions and you have the same belief system. They ask you, questions within the spiritual belief system, the religious belief system. Other than that, as a clinician, most of you know that are in the clinical field, it's not a time to sit in there and pray. And, everything is methodologies and systems and formulations and, trial and errors. Everything is symptom management and dealing with the past and dealing with emotional trauma and behavioral issues. That is the focus. You're using the science of psychology to implement, treatment strategies. Just like a doctor, when a doctor comes in, they're focused on the problem, the symptom management. What is the problem? The root of the problem. You don't have a therapist or a doctor walk in and just start speaking in tongues and laying hands and casting demons out. That's for the medical professional. And imagine going to court and the judge is speaking in tongues and stretching his hand out like he's Moses. That is not what you're called to do in those perspective fields. Now, if you have a belief system, which I do have a belief system, and I stand by that. Those of you know that I am a believer, but when I'm in a position, a clinical position, I don't express that. You have to know that for yourself when you ask that question. The beautiful thing about Apostle Helen Sadler's room, my mom's room, is that is a time where we can come in and kind of let our hair down and not only discuss, the clinical aspect or the professional aspect of what we're dealing with when it comes to narcissist abuse. We can also express our own belief, our spiritual belief, our Christian belief. There is a spiritual aspect of narcissist abuse or narcissists. And that's the beauty, because we have that freedom in that room. So if you're missing out on that room, you need to go to that room, because you get an opportunity to hear beyond just the clinical aspect, beyond just the professional aspect of the abuse, the narcissist. You get to hear the opinions and the beliefs of those that you enjoy watching on social media. And having said that, one of the things, the analogies, there were many beautiful analogies in there. I'm just going to use the one that I used for me because I thought it was appropriate for this moment in time, because the topic of this past discussion was the aftermath after the narcissist, or the narcissist aftermath. And for many of you, you're going through a healing process, but every day is a new day where you discover something new about yourself that has not healed. For some people, the anger issues. For some people, you still have the codependency issues. There's debris, there's residue that has been left. That doesn't mean that you have not, you're not in a healing process, but every day, especially if you've been in a situationship long term, or you grew up in a household with narcissists, you were raised by narcissists, there is aftermath, problem with leadership, problem with constructive criticism, because you're constantly triggered into thinking that you're being abused, because narcissists even excuse or they use as a smoke shield, or as a cover up, disciplining a child. They call it disciplining, and in actuality, they're abusing, and they give it the name of discipline. This is how I discipline my children. When in actuality, the what they're doing is not rooted in discipline and is not rooted in love, put it that way, but they're abusing children and they call it discipline. And so many people that come up in a household like that, you know, constructive criticism, leadership, authority, it triggers them because it constantly, you know, they believe correction, you know, abuse equals correction. And so they rebel against that because that's what they are accustomed to. And so rebelling against leadership, rebelling against constructive criticism because, you know, that narcissist family member or parent covered it up. You know, the constructive criticism really was critical. It was really harmful. It didn't help anything, you know, and the excuses say, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it 100. I'm just being straightforward. I'm going to tell you like it is. And in actuality, it's to tear you down even more. But the excuse is I'm trying to help you. You know, I'm giving you constructive criticism when they're critical. You know, in the military, we even learned, you know, when you're building up soldiers, you know, you got to give them the positive things and then you give them the things that they need to correct. You know, you can't be so negative all the time because you'll tear them down without being able to build them up. You don't ever tear down a soldier. You know, when you break them down, you still got to rebuild them. So now you've broken them down in this area, but now you have to rebuild them back. You can't leave them there, you know, but the narcissist doesn't see it that way. I'll break you down, I'm gonna leave you there, but I'll do it in the sake, in the, you know, in the cover up of discipline and the cover up of I'm just keeping it real, trying to help you out, you know, and that is a narcissist. The other thing, you know, is, you know, if you look at a puzzle, this is the analogy that I made. You know, I like puzzles, like 1,000-piece puzzle, 5,000-piece puzzle. I haven't done it in a long time, but it's very soothing, it's very calming. You know, for those of you that are stressed, you know, that are dealing with stress and I was gonna say high blood pressure, but I mean high stress, or you living high stress, or you dealing with anxiety, go get you a 1,000-piece or 5,000-piece puzzle, and that's something is very serene, very quiet, you know, and is very pleasurable, you know, to put together a puzzle piece. A friend of mine in Korea introduced it to me, and I really enjoyed it. It was very peaceful. But think about it, you got this 5,000 puzzle pieces. Take the biggest, you know, 5,000 puzzle piece, and the amount of energy you use throughout life to put together this puzzle only to see that there are pieces missing. And a lot of you, that's how your life is going right now. You find that there are pieces missing. There's like a piece of your heart that's missing. There's a piece of your body, you know, and imagine these puzzle pieces, either individuals, families, couples, relationships, children, you know, all this on this board. And so you're having to look at the picture and you're trying to put these puzzle pieces together to find out there are pieces missing. And so throughout life, you're discovering there are pieces missing from this puzzle piece because of the experiences that you've had in your life with probably your narcissistic parents, you know, are coming up in home, there are pieces missing. And so you're working very hard to find these pieces and put these pieces back in place. So it's a lot of time, a lot of energy to put these pieces back together. You know, you got to be careful too, because a lot of times when you discover these missing pieces, you'll become hard on yourself, and everything that you have achieved up until this point, you feel like it is now irrelevant. That is not true. You know, don't trick yourself into thinking that, you know, all up until this point, now I find out that I'm flawed in this area, or this piece is missing in my life. Now you look back and everything you've worked so hard up until this point, you feel like it is irrelevant now because this one thing has now been magnified. But that is not true. You know, that is not true. That means that this piece right here, we need to work on this piece. Now, being with a narcissist, on the other hand, in and out of narcissist relationship, that narcissist, once you're putting these puzzle pieces together and there's these pieces missing, instead of you going to find the pieces that need to be in this place to get the right people in your life to help you put these puzzle pieces back in place, you know, the narcissist comes in and sticks in their pieces. Now, their pieces have broken edges, don't fit in there, messing up the edges of the puzzle, you know, don't even look the right color, you know, there's black marks everywhere, and it's like the beauty of the puzzle is this is destroyed. And so then the narcissist, once you say this is not right and you're trying to take these pieces back out, the narcissist takes the puzzle piece and throws it in the air. So here you go once again, and this is when you cut them off and leave. Now you're going back and you're trying to put these puzzle pieces back together. So it's a whole bunch of energy again, and they come back in your life. They throw these puzzle pieces back in the air, and every time you put the puzzle piece back together, there are more pieces missing. Until the day you make up your mind and that narcissist throws them puzzle pieces in the air, and now you're having to work so hard to put these pieces back together. The aftermath.